Well then, it is video time again. It's been a while since I last posted anything really. Um, Blog or vlog or whatever the hell you want to call it. So today I'm going to talk about something that's a little more serious, I suppose. Um, you know, anyone who's followed me at all knows that I haven't exactly been the biggest fan of President Obama. But I got to give him credit for one thing finally. He's made it a notion to appropriate funds for this Ebola problem in West Africa. He even offered to put troops on the ground for whatever purpose. The news said for training, and I'm just wondering, like, what kind of training can we really give these people? I mean, the problem that I'm really having is, I mean, the UN is incredibly useless, right? I mean, I can't be the only person who thinks that. They have troops. Uh, their entire purpose as an organization is to keep peace and maintain the well-being of the people of the world, right? I mean, that's United Nations. That's their whole purpose. Uh, so I'm not opposed to U.S. involvement in Africa because, well, those poor, hungry, disease-ridden folks could use a hand with a lot of things. But what good can our troops really do if we don't take on the root problems that create disease? Like poverty, malnutrition, bad water, just nothing clean, nothing sanitary. I mean, that's how disease manifests. So, I mean, if we, you know, that's pretty textbook, right? I mean, I'd assume so. I mean, I think that most Americans will agree that we're not at constant risk for Ebola outbreaks because we have standards and things like that of living that keep us safe, which these third world countries don't. Um, you know, so what are we going to do? Go land a few troops, pitch a few tents, spread and put fear in Americans, claiming as some sort of threat to our national security? I mean, it's total bullshit. I mean, now, it is a disease that can be transmitted rather easily, but really, how many poor third world, you people can just up and hop a plane to this country and infect us? I mean, really, I mean, it's like a homeless man just all of a sudden one day pops up able to hitch a plane or something, and spread Ebola to everybody, you know. I mean, in an office building, let's say, one day he just wakes up and all of a sudden people are going to not look at him like a homeless man and he's going to walk in and spread disease everywhere. I mean, it's just not going to happen. They're going to stop him at the door and, you're a poor homeless man, get out of here. I mean, so it really is only a threat to our national security the moment these poor people take control over all the wealth in their nations and start making annual vacations just like Americans do. Like, oh yeah, I finally got $5,000 today. I think I'm going to go visit America and infect people with Ebola. Not going to happen. Why doesn't the president do something to get the UN off their asses to do their jobs? That's what I'm wondering. Maybe it's because only Americans, and not all Americans, but I think the majority of Americans really give a shit about starving poor people. Or it could just be that the UN doesn't want to ruffle feathers with leaders of these countries that are known to do horrible things to these people. And heaven forbid that the UN actually lives up to its purpose and sits down with people to convince them to do something for the common good of its people. They sit there and who knows what they do, really. I mean, I don't. But no, we will send troops there, try and put a band-aid on shit and act as if these poor helpless people can somehow manage to sneak across our border and infect us all. That's the same damn attitude as this ISIS situation in Iraq and Syria. They are claiming 15,000 members and growing, growing numbers every day, that are heavily funded and are a daily threat to us here in the States. Jesus, if that's the case, then why the hell do we need the NSA, CIA, TSA, and so on? I mean, why do we need them? Got all this government control and crackdown spying, phone calls and emails, and 15,000 mountain people can still sneak across the border and kill us all. So, I mean, they got us with 9/11, fine. And there's written proof that all the intelligence agencies at the time had knowledge of a potential terrorist threat on 9/11, and they just paper pushed it. They didn't care. They just didn't want to dig further and look into a terrorist threat. The book I read called The 1% Doctrine, she read it in an airport one time, that noted this particular problem, which is why I think it was like a CIA director or something ended up getting fired or forced to resign or something. Look it up. I mean, and I don't know if it was ever a bestseller or just something I found in an airport and read. So after we get attacked, we didn't make the agencies we had better. We just added more, and apparently still aren't secure. I mean, does anybody truthfully think that the guy from 7-Eleven is really some sort of secret terrorist? I mean, it would appear to me that he has he's more worried about you trying to snag that bag of Funyuns and Slim Jim, or try and catch you chugging down half of your Big Gulp and refilling it before paying at the counter. So, I mean, they don't really seem to be terrorists to me. They're just trying to run a business. We really think these people who give the best prices on beer, tobacco, and have all kinds of assortments of blunt wraps for the pot smokers, and they secretly all want to go jihad on us. That would be one hell of an elaborate hoax. I'm just saying that we have all this government shit, watching every damn thing we do, and some radical hill dwellers are going to somehow get here and take down the nation. Really? The hill people in this country haven't even managed to come down and take down this imperialist government that isn't fond of the production of homemade high-grade alcoholic beverages, aka moonshine. Without passports, there is only one solid way into America. We all know what that weak point is, and instead of addressing that issue, which is sort of humanitarian nature as well, we leave our guard down. A lot of people still trying to push this issue that we should eliminate these threats over there before they can get here. When it seems to me that if you focus on a solid plan to seal off the border as airtight as Canada's supposedly is, then would make it much harder to get here, if not damn near impossible. I mean, you force people to leave a paper trail and they're easier to catch, right? I mean, but apparently these highly educated leaders of our country don't see playing defense as a viable option. Not only that, they keep going to these UN summits, giving speeches to people wearing headphones and falling asleep like it's some college lecture. But what the hell do I know? I mean, I'm a blogging college dropout looking for entry-level work staying in my parents' house. I mean, I couldn't handle those boring-ass lectures either, so maybe the UN should just drop out of school and go home. And maybe that is what is sad. I have more ideas than the people sitting in charge. For once, I agree with this president slightly about a couple of things. I think more of our focus should go towards Africa in a humanitarian effort to help people finally build a sustainable, healthy living environment. But it shouldn't just be Americans at the forefront. If the UN is ever going to be useful for anything, they should be the ones to take on this mission because, well, that is what it was created for. I mean, instead it's always lecture time with a fancy breakfast or lunch at the end. I mean, you can just imagine them sitting there. I mean, hey, are you going to the UN summit today? I really hate those long, boring-ass speeches, but they always have the most eloquent lobster-tail dinners afterwards. So yeah, I think I could sit through a long, boring-ass day of speeches. I mean, and as far as ISIS is concerned, I think the people in those countries that do not support them do need some help. But in the end, it's still their fight. It's their war to be fought. Again, a more suitable cause for the UN to provide weapons, or suitable cause for the UN, to provide weapons, soldiers, and training to these forces to combat this terrorist organization of Muslim mountain hillbillies. Because I don't think the 7-Eleven guy is a secret terrorist. I mean, because he's the only one who sees me with a pocket full of change and lets me slide on a few dollars, as long as I take the cheap 12 pack of beer that he never sells. I mean, like the Milwaukee's Best or some shit like that. I mean, he's just a small business owner. He's probably got a stockpile of shit that he's had forever, and I come in there with a pocket full of change. I can't afford my usual, so he's like, yeah, well, you take the cheap shit, I'll take your, $6 or whatever. I mean, not saying that there aren't people or terrorists already here plotting to overthrow the United States. I'm just saying they're not all Muslim. Uh, maybe we should start to worry maybe if the Nazis and the radical Islamists decide to team up. But they're both too racist to ever do anything like that, so I think if these organizations buckle down and do the jobs, we'll be safe. But chances are they will bullshit and whatnot and prove themselves ineffective at the cost of our civil liberties. I can't be free to do what I want because some poor crazy mountain man with a gun on the other side of the world wants me dead. And if that's the case, then, well, peace, man. I'll buy your moonshine. Fuck it. And that's pretty much it.